if you get trapped somewhere with someone else, in like the middle of the woods or in a mine, and you decide to eat them because you're starving, as soon as you eat them, the soul of the Wendigo goes inside you, and you're no longer yourself, and you hide out in the woods and you hunt people.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. As always, we are the dynamic duo. I'm one of your hosts, Rob, and joining with me is my good friend Lou.
Hello, my brothers.
And this week we have two very special guests. Lou, do you want to go ahead and introduce them?
Yep. So we have two special guests today with over 5,000 followers spanning from Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, creators of the Greensboro DNR. We have Ray. Based off of his Facebook, says he works for Smash Bros.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Is Sakurai your dad?
Has not been touched.
I don't know. And then we have Alec. 10 years ago, recommended Adventure Time in the very underrated American Dragon Jake Long. Do you still believe in your recommendation?
American Dragon.
Is American Dragon. Yeah. I still dig that.
That's good. It's awesome. Say hello, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm Ray.
And I'm Alec.
So each week we like to start with a funny question. I have two forms of this question, depending on how much you want to smear your name and put that out there. How many middle schoolers could you win in a fist fight? And if you don't want to answer that question for legal reasons, how many points would you score in a middle school basketball game? Now, you're allowed one weapon, so you could pick your weapon as well.
Really?
Yeah, no katanas. Nothing. We're not.
Nothing automatic.
Nothing automatic. Yeah.
Katana's not automatic. It's a blade of steel.
No guns. That kind of thing. Let's make it fun.
I'll make it a little more fun, and I'll give myself a baseball bat.
Classic. Can't beat it.
That way I can go for knockouts instead of straight up, murder or anything. I feel like, are they all coming at me at once?
No, not necessarily. We'll say it's like Batman rules, where everybody is kind of like, you might get 2 or 3 you can combo together, but you're never getting the full swarm.
Okay. I think I could do 30 before I start getting exhausted.
Fair enough. It's a good answer.
Gee, I'm like trying to think of the only thing I can think about is the Family Guy thing where he talks where he's like, I just back myself into like a stall, the bathroom stall, and I just start kicking them one by one as they come in. But I don't know. That's a great question. I think I'd probably go for a blunt object as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it would be. I wouldn't say crowbar, but those things are so heavy.
Those are pretty heavy.
And they got that tip on the end, so it's not a blunt. You could probably do some real damage with that.
Yeah, if you accidentally hook somebody with it. Yeah.
Right in the soft spot, man. Right in the soft spot. Nobody wants that.
Well, here's the question. Do you just want to brutalize the first person so everyone's too scared and runs away? Because that could be a tactic.
Yeah, any middle schooler would, once you see the first one, punch him in the throat, everybody's going to stop. But,
so they're capable of psychological damage. This isn't some zombie group of.
I would get on all fours and start mooing like a cow.
No. These are psychopath middle schoolers. I wouldn't say zombies per se.
Unaffected.
They're unaffected by.
Yeah, they're gone beyond our any kind of mental reasoning or anything like that.
You can't.
So they're fair game for being beat up. I get it.
Yep.
I'd probably do. This sound terrible. But I probably would I'd go retract my last answer. I'd probably do a bladed weapon. Sound terrible. But if it's in a life or death situation, I don't think of them as however old they are, they're just things out to kill me. Then I have to, if I do a blunt object, it can get caught or it just be hard. If I have a quick, especially double-edged weapon like a sword, then I could cleave through them. That would be my answer.
But the question was how many? Yeah, how many?
Yeah.
Before I die?
They're unlimited. You can't fight out of it.
Yeah. I'm pretty out of shape right now.
This is your last stand.
This is my last stand. Yeah. I think I could probably conservatively say 50 or so.
50 with a blade?
With the blade,
that would make sense, yeah.
That does make sense.
You'd start getting dull towards the end.
Yeah, then I would have to switch to my fists.
Just start using my hands and crushing their heads. That's what it's all about.
Using other other elementary schools or whatever.
I grab one of their arms and start using it as a weapon.
Roll the hit.
Yeah.
Roll it. That's right.
I agree with Alec that, a bladed weapon's probably your way to go, but I would want something with reach. So give me like a pole arm. Because then if like the blade gets stalled, then you can turn around and you have like a quarterstaff almost. So I guess give me a pike, I can just, or a halberd and slash at them. I honestly don't know. I'll just say, I'll shoot the gap and say 40 because I'm not confident in learning how to use a weapon that I've never used before in combat.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. Like, if you've ever played Dark Souls, you always go for that first. But like, I just don't ever think that I got the skills to use one of those, especially with weight. And then as soon as they make the distance,
give me a good spear. That you don't really need as much skill. It's just pokey.
Yeah, that's fair. And could you imagine throwing one and getting like two of them at the same time?
Not that strong.
Here's what I'll say about the bladed weapons. All right, it's gonna get stuck in one of them, and you're gonna lose it pretty early. That's what I think.
Yeah,
but they don't have muscle yet. Like they
got bones.
I know they have bones, but if you have a big enough weapon, it doesn't matter.
Give me a lightsaber.
If I have the berserk
I'll
blade,
go for infinity.
A dragon slayer, then I have nothing to worry about. But yeah, it makes sense.
So for me, I don't think I'm gonna do bladed weapon just because I am a weeb, so a katana would be fun. But I'm thinking brass knuckles. I think that just would be the coolest.
It would hurt your hands though after a while.
I mean, I'm gonna die anyway.
Nah, I'm gonna throw you a bone. Imagine brass knuckles, but you also get the gloves. Like you get some boxing gloves to really protect it. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
and then
I get that damage out there.
And if I got some spikes on top of it, I'm easily one-shotting some of these kids.
Definitely.
I think 30. I think I'm max 30. I'm not out of shape per se, but I'm definitely not in shape.
I think the psychological pain on myself would start to grow. Even if they're sociopaths, I'd be like, once I'm getting to 30, I'm like, how much farther can I go? How many more of these scary children can I kill before?
Yeah, that's why I didn't say elementary school, because you're really messed up. But to be,
I think I get at least 12 points against a middle schooler in basketball. I can back him down to the rim, go for a layup.
Yeah, that's fair.
For me
that's
too,
fair.
probably 12.
Oh, if Alec can get 12, I'm going to say about 6.
I don't know. Well, middle school, I don't know. I feel like it's like one of those things where I feel like I could probably get about 30 maybe then.
Yeah, but you play basketball too, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Alec, I forgot that you balled. That was like, I completely forgot about that.
He was on our 4-on-4 winning men's retreat basketball team where we almost started to fight.
Forgot about that. Who did you almost fight?
No, it wasn't me. It was Cantwell. So shout out to Cantwell who's listening to this. Yeah, he almost fought a guy because he was balling too hard.
He was like, no shame, but he was like 5'5" and balding. I think he was just a little upset.
The other guy, not Cantwell.
I do remember this.
Not Cantwell. Well, no, the other guy.
I sort of remember that. Yeah, that was a good time.
That was a good time. So this week of the podcast, we're talking about top 3 conspiracy theories. I did some research on this, but I'm not gonna lie, I felt like I was going a little insane once I got pretty far in. I think like a really good explanation of that is on Reddit. There's the whole iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and the farther I got, I was like, ooh.
Get into the stuff that's a little too real.
Yeah, I was like, this is a comedy podcast. I don't think I really want to talk about.
Well, you didn't want to start talking about religion and 9/11 and how the Earth was created.
Yeah. So I'm going to start us off light, and then I guess we can see where we go from there. My third conspiracy theories is birds aren't real.
Classic.
Oh, I know about the pigeons.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is awkward. You just stole my number 1, so.
Oh, that is awkward.
This is the first time this has happened. So go ahead and talk about it, and I'll chime in to why it's the number 1 conspiracy.
Sounds good. So a little backstory of my life. My grandfather was born in Italy, came to America, and found that he had a passion for birds. And we were living in the ghetto of Detroit, and at one point, we had over 300 birds in our backyard.
Nice.
So my grandfather probably worked for the government, and we
delivering messages with the pigeons.
We just honestly didn't know about it. Apparently, this is developed by a guy named Peter McDoey. I don't know. Do you know? I don't know how to say his last name. I'm really butchering it.
I think it's an alias, anyways. Why would you use your real name on something so revolutionary?
It sounds about right. McDoey.
Robbie, did you do any research?
I have the general premise, but I was going to speak from the heart.
Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm that is your number 1. I guess that makes sense. Apparently, all birds are just surveillances, drones for the government, for the U.S. government. It's good stuff. You start looking around,
it's
man.
deeper than that.
Oh,
So
well, Robert, you can go farther. I'm not.
the theory was that between 1959 and 1971, the federal government replaced all birds. They killed them all and replaced them with lookalike drones. And the reason they sit on power lines is because they're getting recharged and refueled that way. And the facts of this go so deep that JFK was assassinated because he did not want to kill all the birds in the world. It's by the citizens of the United States of America.
Oh,
Whoa. I didn't get
Defending
any
our
of that.
rights till death.
Mm-hmm. So whenever you see a bird, just be looking for that camera lens.
dude,
Yeah, they got two of them.
That's true.
My drone can barely get like a 10 megabyte JPEG out of it. I'm surprised at like 1950 that they were like doing drone stuff.
Well, at the time it was high
Well,
quality,
why-
but it looked like, the camera was taken through a microwave,
And
yeah.
also, this is government technology, Alec. They're not just going to let your drone use it,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
The reason it was my number one is because this is more of a satirical conspiracy. And I just it's my favorite to read about. When I heard about it, I'm like, that's awesome. It's hilarious. And then I want to get a birds aren't real shirt and everything. And it was
My brother has one of those.
yeah, nice. It's such a fun conspiracy to just bring up and try to tell people it's real, and people just give you the craziest look. So I love it for that reason. And it got to a point where I think some people are stupid enough on the internet to actually believe that it's a real conspiracy, even though it was originally satire. So that's why it's my number one, because it's the hilarity of it, the irony of it, and everything. It's my number one for that reason.
If it flies, it spies.
Ooh.
That's what they say.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's catchy. It gets people that believe in that really short things to remember. 'Cause I'm assuming those people aren't as wise. I'm just going to end off right there. Awesome.
So are bird watchers, are they just trying to get government parts? You're looking for
No,
dead
they
drones?
work for the government. They're making
Oh.
sure the birds don't, crash and anybody's around to see it.
Cantwell, we're on to you.
Cantwell's a bird watcher.
Cantwell
as
is a
well.
bird watcher. Not only will he throw down at a Bible camp basketball tournament, he's known to look after some drones. I mean birds.
Man, he's got a lot of
So-
hobbies.
So are pet birds looking in your house then?
Yeah.
Like when you get a parakeet?
Yeah,
I don't know why you would ever get a pet bird.
Oh, want
You
one.
just inviting it into your home like that.
My wife would have something to say with that, but
My wife grew up with 10 birds and they were all cageless. So they just flew around the entire time. I couldn't
Wow.
do it.
Yeah, that's a lot of poop. Is it like a cat litter situation where they knew where to?
I feel like I've asked that question to her. It was back when she was a kid, so she doesn't super remember, but
That's the weird thing. They never pooped. It was strange. They just kept sitting on the lamp and recharging. I don't know.
it was staring at me.
Just kept staring at us.
Ray, what's your number 3?
All right. My first one, this is the one I believe the most, but it's the most, how do I say? It's not very world dooming, I guess. Not that big of a deal. My conspiracy is Red Dye 40 is making poor people way more aggressive and causing them to go to prison more. And it's slow. Well, it's just been, they're trying to creep it into the food system so that we cause way more poor people to go to jail, and it causes way more ADHD. I don't know how to explain it. Here, let me just read through it really quick.
That's wild.
Studies show that it can cause ADHD and ADD, or can increase the effects of ADHD and ADD. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but if you see the kid drinking red Kool-Aid, they just start shaking after it, and then they get really aggressive and crazy.
So it's
I remember it as a kid.
So it's not the sugar.
sugar?
Yeah, it's not the sugar. It's the red dye.
Not the sugar.
Oh, it's not the sugar. It's the red dye. Red dye specifically has caused ADHD and ADD, and it's heavily used in only cheap foods to make them more appetizing. Also, red dye is only legal in the United States for some reason, and then everybody else has banned it because they know how awful it is. But yeah, it's known to cause aggression, and I don't know. I feel like there's a chance that once Red Dye 40 gets banned in America, we might be looking at some peace here.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like people are going to be a lot less aggressive once it's been banned.
It's gonna be the next peace in the Middle East.
Yep. I mean, who knows what they're feeding them over in the Middle East? It could be over there. I would have to look up the ADHD conditions in the Middle East.
People in Japan and stuff live until 100 and stuff like that. Is that right? Am I right about that or wrong about that? I feel
It's
I
one of-
don't know about that.
It's
I don't know
one
about
of
Japan.
Japan is one of them. It's like Japan, Italy. I can't remember the name of it, but
Switzerland, right?
yeah, it's one of those. But beans and sweet potato are like the big things that everybody eats.
Really?
To keep you alive for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, but let's just be honest. Who here wants to live to 100? Like that sounds miserable.
A healthy
Yeah.
100, I would. Not like
Yeah.
a crack.
I kind of want to see what the world's gonna look like.
Oh, it's going to hell in a handbasket. I don't want to see that. You know.
I don't know. Murphy's Law, man.
You're
You're
about
right.
to
Once
see
the red
some
die's
crazy
taken
stuff.
out, it's going to be peace.
Once the red dye, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, once the red dye
goes
leaves.
away, we're good to go. That's the one thing keeping us from world peace, and it's really strange that we haven't gotten rid of it yet.
See, now I'm looking at my drink because it's kind of red. I'm making sure I don't have red dye in it.
Dude, it's everywhere. If you're
Start
buying
punching
cheap
your
stuff-
monitor.
I'm so mad right now.
I'm actually allergic to red dye. I can't drink red Kool-Aid or red Gatorade.
I remember being at camp, and it was either you or Rob had told me you were allergic to it. I didn't choose red dye because it was you guys in this podcast, because I've been looking this stuff up, and it makes me mad that red dye exists. But I do remember somebody telling me they were allergic back at camp. Would you get aggressive when you like drank it?
Oh, I just myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it aggressive though?
It was a very aggressive. I'll tell you that much.
Violent. It was violent.
It was violent.
There are no positives to red dye besides the visuals. Can you believe that?
I do believe that actually.
I do.
Disgusting.
I also believe that.
But
the
if
amount
I
of crap that's just in stuff in general, like aspartame and stuff like that.
And the
It's just-
microplastics, they're everywhere.
I like how you're speaking. It's a little choppy, but it makes everything that you say just like super important. It's solid.
it just seems like you're feeding into us, right? You're like, well, did you think about this?
It does. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're primed for this conspiracy one.
Dude,
Yeah.
my mind is full of conspiracy theories. I don't believe many of them, but I love them. They're so
Yeah.
fun.
You picked Ray's like bread and butter, I feel like.
Alec, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is, it's funny because I had to like go through them and stuff. Some of these might not be like conspiracy theories, just more like, I don't know if we consider urban legends part of
Sure.
this concern, but I'm going to say it's like that because I think some of these are super goofy. One of my favorites is the Avril Lavigne replacement conspiracy theory.
That's a good one. I like
This
that one a
is-
lot.
For those who don't know, allow me to read an excerpt. In 2003, Avril Lavigne died, and shortly after the release of her successful first album, Let Go. And she was replaced by a body double named Melissa Vendia. Evidence used to support the theory includes changes in Lavigne's appearance between 2003 and the present, supposed subliminal messaging in her follow-up effort, Under My Skin, and a photo shoot in which Lavigne has the name of Melissa written on her hand. This one cracks me up. Like, I love this stuff. This stuff is because honestly, like, I feel like I don't know how you can really disprove like this. I mean, like, you can disprove it, obviously, but like to the public eye, this is the kind of stuff I feel like actors would do to keep something going, to keep the brand alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, even if it isn't true, it's still very funny. Unless somebody killed her.
Yeah.
Then it's not so funny. Yeah.
I haven't heard this one, but I didn't like. It's very similar. There was a Paul McCartney theory that he like died in the car crash and was replaced
yeah.
later.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
makes me mad that I didn't put that on my list. But I love that
one's
one
really
too.
popular. Yeah. There's the Leonardo DiCaprio as a vampire too.
There's the actual dude who's a vampire.
Well, he just might be. He might.
There's
There's a weird Civil War photo with a guy who looks very similar to Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, I'm talking about the real life vampire dude who's like 50 and injects himself with like.
Oh, that
blood.
guy.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that guy's.
He has like sons and stuff.
Yeah.
He takes his son's plasma.
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Creates that red dye, you know.
Oh
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah,
There
that's
you
right.
go.
So when you get the cheap blood and they just dye it up to make it look better.
Instead of like them mixing drugs and flour, it's blood and red dye. Is this cut with red dye?
Is this blood cut with fentanyl?
I think one of the big things is her responses have been kind of interesting. They're not like denying, they're just saying like, I'm here. Like, well, I'm here. So how can I be dead? Like, like they're not like flat out saying like that's
Well,
a load of rubbish.
Did she not? Is the body double not allowed to lie?
I guess so, yeah. She's just
One
a really good
rule.
actor.
You can't lie.
Don't break character. Whatever you do, we got to keep the brand alive. But yeah, that one cracks me up.
I feel like you get the call from the government. Oh no, she's Canadian, right?
Yep, she's Canadian.
So maybe you won't get the call from the government. I don't know what they do over there.
Oh, hello? Are you lying, eh? Oh, you're not lying? Okay, go have a good day, eh? Be careful when you're a boot.
I'm here, eh? I'm still alive, eh?
We have
Gator
your-
boy.
Canadians
Body
can't
double.
lie.
Down in the laboratory, we got your body double. Do you want to switch out? Or are you feeling tired yet?
Oh no,
Nah,
I'm good
give
with
it
it.
a couple more days.
Just give me some Timmy's A and I'll be good.
I don't know. I do love this, but there's like a lot of holes in it. You know, it's just like one of those. I think it comes in like with just like the goofy category.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know.
Or
I
you
don't-
could take it. You could take it the complete opposite. You could go into the doppelganger, and maybe
Yeah.
slowly we're being replaced.
We're slowly being replaced. That's close to my number one theory actually.
Ooh.
So stay tuned.
All right, so my number 3, I don't think a lot of people take it too seriously. It's like very well known, but it's called the Phantom Timeline Conspiracy, or the Phantom Time Conspiracy.
I don't know that one.
The conspiracy is the Holy Roman Empire at 1614 AD just jumped the calendar to 911 AD and like created this whole lore of the Holy Roman Empire. So that Charlemagne wasn't a real thing. And really, it should be, we should be in the 1800s right now. And it's like such a crazy theory. And I think a lot of people have proven, like historically, like we have evidence that those 200 years existed. But I just think it's a very cool thought experiment. Like, what would it actually be like if 200 years weren't actually there? And I don't think anything would change. It's just a number at the year. But it's a cool like theory to think, what if like there's more conspiracies in history and things like that changed today? And I just like kind of the whole thought experiment of it.
That is pretty interesting because they do have full control over the calendar. So if they wanted to lie, they could have made up whatever they wanted.
Allegedly, it was
Who has control of the calendar?
the Pope.
The Pope has control of the calendar?
The Roman Catholics.
Yep.
Wow. Learn something new every day.
I wouldn't say control. I feel like no one has control of the calendar anymore, but they made it like the Romans made the calendar, right?
Yeah, the Gregorians are basically branched off the Julian calendar and made our modern calendar today.
That sounds like a lizard race of people. What is that?
It does.
Gregorians?
It does sound like a
Gregorian.
The Gorons?
The Gorons.
Yeah.
They eat rocks.
Yep.
I've always heard it like Gregorian monk chants are like those like deep like ooh,
Ooh.
like that type of thing. But are they like
Jajorian.
no, I don't know where they're from. I actually never thought of to ask that question. I just always, it's like a group of monks that I always think of when I think Gregorian.
I think that's the Spy Kid's dad's name is Gregorio.
What a connection. Are you a Spy Kids fan?
No, but I just remember this stuff. I don't know. Like when it comes to like, I don't know. I can't remember my Spanish, but I can remember the Spy Kid's dad's name.
Like, I wish that was my
Gregorio.
dad.
I think that
It is Gregorio Cortez.
Gregorio, man. He was
Wow.
the best.
He was the best. I wish he was my
Sorry.
dad.
So I
Me
guess
too.
the whole Gregorian thing is based off of Pope Gregory the First.
Huh.
The first pope.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, it's weird. Or Pope Gregory the Seventh. So that's a conspiracy. Who knows? Maybe that 200-year time gap would have the answers.
Yeah, there's that phantom time gap right there. They just jumped ahead 7 generations of popes.
The astronomical proof is interesting on this. Just like how it doesn't match up. That's interesting. I'm like reading it right now. I'm interested in it.
Lou, you want to start us off with your number 2?
Yeah, back up to me. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I try to keep it lighthearted because I didn't know what ride we were going to take on this podcast. So my number 2 is Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is immortal.
Oh, is he the one who had the Civil War photo?
Yes, I think.
Oh, okay. All
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. If you're a Keanu Reeves fan from Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure all the way to his newest John Wick, he pretty much looks the same. He's just grown a beard, maybe a couple lines on his face, but he's aged very well. And then there's pictures on the internet, and I have no idea how real this is, but there's pictures on the internet that makes him look like he was born a long time ago.
Oh my god.
Posted one in the chat.
Yeah, the one in the chat is
hilarious.
definitely fake. But absolutely hilarious.
That's what they want you to think.
Photoshop is an awesome thing. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I do want to talk about how awesome Keanu Reeves is. He's donated over $300 million to cancer research because his sister was diagnosed with leukemia. There's a Facebook post back in 2017 where she was talking about how her and her cousin broke into Keanu Reeves' house back in the 90s and was knocking on his door, and instead of calling the cops, invited them in and had a beer with them. And there is a picture of them and a note to prove it.
Wow.
And then Keanu Reeves bought motorcycles for all the Matrix. Reloaded stunt team.
Ooh.
Not only that, but he paid for the whole VFX budget on the first Matrix to make sure they got the full VFX potential they could out of that movie. And it like sparked a whole new era of VFX animation, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So yeah, he's a really good guy. I don't know how you guys feel about supporting people versus not supporting, like supporting people who do good in the world, and then not. Are you like, do you still listen to Michael Jackson music? You know, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I try and separate the artist from the person. It's hard to sometimes, but like the way I look at it is like we all like, I'm not saying like we all make mistakes, because obviously some people you're like, oh, all right, well that's pretty bad. But it is kind of like that. I guess I would look at it the way like God would look at it, is, it's just like one of those things where I can't I just separate the person from the artist. Maybe I don't like him as a person, but like as an artist, I love Michael Jackson's music.
Right.
Also, sorry, sidetrack. Do you know that Keanu Reeves has a comic book about himself? Not it was written by himself, but it's actually about a guy, and the guy looks exactly like Keanu Reeves, and it's about him being immortal.
Interesting.
It is very.
It's called Berserker,
but spelled very funny though.
Berserker.
Yeah, but it's like BZ. It's like spelled Berserker with no vowels.
BRZRKR.
It's actually really good.
Oh, is it? That's super cool.
Mm-hmm. It's just funny that as soon as you said that, I'm like, wow, that sounds exactly like his comic book. What are the odds?
Back to the whole separation between like artists and their art. I think if like Hitler made a jazz album, I don't think I would listen to it. But
you don't have his paintings hanging up?
I don't have his paintings hanging up. Apparently.
Okay, but what if it was like the top-rated jazz album of all time?
Isn't that his book, Mein Kampf? Isn't that like a really well-regarded book?
I'm separating the art from the artist while reading Mein Kampf.
I'm okay. Let me be clear. I'm not promoting this or anything like that. I'm just asking. Like,
calm down,
I
internet.
just don't know how to separate.
It was a joke.
That's
For
fair.
me, it's Quentin Tarantino. I love his movies. They're some of my favorite movies. But that guy talks, and he's just so, I don't know. He's a stupid guy.
You're not into
He is a
film?
stupid guy.
Have you seen the interview on where he's defending Roman Polanski?
No, I don't even know who Roman Polanski is.
Basically, Roman Polanski's a that got caught and then fled to France. And then there's a bunch of Hollywood people that keep saying, like, let him come back. Let him come back. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And Quentin Tarantino got on a podcast where he was talking about the girl that Roman Polanski did stuff to. And he's just like, she was down with it. You don't understand. Those French party girls, she was down with it. And
You
he's
sound
just like,
just like-
oh my God.
Have you practiced his accent? Because
I've
you
just
sound
heard that. I've heard that clip too many times. So
Okay, you
it's
sound
hard not
just
to get
like
it
him.
right.
That is scary how quickly. I've never heard of somebody speaking like him before, and you hit it on the head. That's crazy.
So for this episode of the Top Podcast, we have the famous director, Quentin Tarantino. Quentin, how are you today?
She was down with it. What can you say? Quentin, we weren't even talking about that. Why are you bringing that up? Those French girls, you don't get it. Well, that's more Jim Seinfeld. I was slipping into Seinfeld there.
You were slipping inside.
What's the deal?
What's the deal with the French girls?
I mean, do they? Do they not? They're partiers.
What a turn! What a turn! So Keanu Reeves,
How do we get here?
awesome person. If you want to support anybody, Keanu Reeves seems like he's doing good for the world.
Yeah,
And if he is immortal, and I feel like if you're immortal, you're either going to be just the most heinous person in the world, or not care at all, or you're just going to try to benefit the world because have seen some stuff that helps out.
Ray, what's your number 2?
My number 2, this is called the Dark Knight satellite. So the theory is our orbit is so huge, over 584 million miles in circumference. But somewhere in there's an alien satellite that was dropped on our planet, who knows when, and it just rotates around and tracks us pretty much from an alien civilization really far away. Basically, I like this one because I think it's possible, but it's not provable. There's no way you can prove if there is or is not an alien satellite in our orbit, because our orbit's so huge.
It looks like Slave 2, like Boba Fett's ship.
I know, it does look cool. It looks like a black obelisk to me.
So they don't think that like with modern technology we'd be able to sense this satellite?
No, because the orbit is just so big, it's almost hard to describe. Like, imagine, people still get lost at sea every day, right? And the orbit is bigger than the sea, and it encompasses the entire Earth, not just the water. It just wouldn't be feasibly possible to find a satellite. And most satellites, when they're done, not most, but some satellites, when they're done, they just stay up in orbit and they don't get them down. They're just stuck up there. And even when the apocalypse happens and we all die, there's going to be those satellites rotating around Earth the whole time, which is kind of weird. And who knows, Saturn with all those rings,
It's all satellites.
could have been all satellites. Who knows?
Saturn, satellite.
Just degrade. They've degraded so much.
Yeah.
Alec, what do you got for us at number 2?
Okay, so this one I don't know how to say this. If there was one conspiracy urban legend that I would believe in, if someone like made me like pick one, I would definitely be like all about the Bigfoot theory, the conspiracy theory that Bigfoot exists. However, if you dive deeper into Bigfoot lore and stuff like that, there's a very interesting theory that Bigfoot or Sasquatches are like interdimensional beings that can teleport in and out of space and time. And that's how they move around the Earth so quickly. That's why there's so many different sightings of them. It's because when they get found or when they feel threatened, they just teleport out of there and they go to another place in the world. That's why Yetis exist. That's why Sasquatch exists. Because I believe Yetis and Sasquatches are synonymous with each other. One of my best friends is a huge Finding Bigfoot fan. So he's like one of those dudes that he has the same routine every day, basically from like 9 o'clock to 10:30 or whenever he falls asleep, he sits down and watches Finding Bigfoot.
Did you say every day?
Yeah, like until he watches the full series and then he'll stop and then he'll watch something else, but he'll always come back to it.
That's dedication, man.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't believe it, but like it's super funny.
Oh, interesting. You don't believe in something, but you watch it every day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some of those guys in the show are I've heard they're very entertaining.
Are they?
They are. One of my favorite things was not one of my favorite things, but I think one of the fun facts is that one of them has a master's degree in jazz guitar, and he's just like out finding Bigfoot. And I just think that's hilarious because one of our friends went to go to school for jazz guitar. And that's what we kept on telling him. You know who else is a master in jazz guitar? The guy who goes searching for Bigfoot every day. But yeah, Bigfoot having like psychic powers along with that. I don't know. I also grew up in Ohio. We used to go to Hocking Hills a lot, if you guys know where that is. But Hocking Hills every year has like a huge Bigfoot festival, and it has one of the most condensed, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say per capita because it makes you sound like a dweeb, but has like one of the densest like Sasquatch sightings in that area because that's where like it's like right along the Appalachian Mountains over there or very close to it. So yeah.
Per capita Bigfoot sightings.
Bigfoot. I don't want to sound like a dweeb though. Like
I love people when they say per capita. I'm like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about.
I gotta make sure I said that right. For each person in relation to people taken individually. Okay, so I said it right.
Yeah. Now, where do you think Sasquatch lies on the evolutionary scale?
They're above humans. If they got psychic powers and can teleport, obviously we're inferior.
I think that they are both above and below humans at the same time because I don't think they're as intelligent as us, but they do have powers.
That's what they want us to think, though.
They got that spiritual intelligence.
Maybe Sasquatches are like the black dark satellites of their like realm. They go and they watch us and they act stupid, and when they get information, they teleport back to their dimension.
So can they teleport to planets?
I'm assuming no. I don't want to say they're intergalactic. They're definitely like interdimensional, which I don't know which one's bigger or more impressive.
Probably galactic. I mean, it's just the same Earth, just different times. But like if you're going to, Uranus, it's more impressive.
That guy's moving in space.
Did you just throw me alley-oop?
I did.
I'm sorry, I missed it. I apologize. I'm always there for Uranus's jokes.
Yeah, no, Bigfoot, funny. I think it's the most believable. Especially if you take out the interdimensional stuff, I think Bigfoot's probably the most believable out of all the other conspiracy theories, urban legends.
Cryptids specifically.
Cryptids, yeah.
Is the Bigfoot and like Wendigo, are they like this of the same vein, or are they two different species?
The Wendigo is usually a human.
It's Native American.
No,
right?
Well, it's native. It's from Native American lore.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
They aren't necessarily. They don't have to be Native American. They can be.
This is Ray's favorite cryptid.
No, I don't think he's my favorite.
What? I thought you said Wendigos were.
I think Loch Ness Monster is my favorite.
That one's dope too, though. I agree.
But basically, if you get trapped somewhere with someone else in like the middle of the woods or in a mine, and you decide to eat them because you're starving, well, as soon as you eat them, the soul of the Wendigo goes inside you, and you're no longer yourself, and you hide out in the woods and you hunt people. That's what the Wendigo is.
Yeah, it was a video game about the Wendigos that was really
Oh,
good.
yeah.
We all
Until
watched
Dawn.
Until Dawn.
So, yes, that was a really
Hell
good.
yeah.
That was solid.
We all
So-
watched Markiplier play that. I did at least, and then I played it. And it was fun.
So back to Bigfoot. So the famous Bigfoot filming is that?
Patterson footage. Yeah.
Yeah, is that just looks like a grown man walking? Let's just be. It looks like a monkey suit with a grown man walking. So is
I think
that
it's
the
called
same?
Patterson footage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Patterson footage.
That's what. Yeah. I'm watching it right now.
Was it real, Alec? You gotta tell us.
Yeah, I mean,
Right
is
here
it
on the
in
pod.
your right on the pod?
On the pod, you're being put on the spot right now. Make your decision.
I'm watching it right now just to double check.
The iconic footage?
See, the problem
Yeah,
is
I-
it was shot on those bird drones back before they, had the technology, so it just looks all fuzzy.
True.
Yeah.
I don't think it's real.
Yeah, doesn't that look like a grown man? To be fair though, there's like a clearer footage, like a stabilized footage, and like an old one. In the old one, it looks a lot better,
Yeah.
a lot more hide.
The
Yeah.
fur looks too sheen for it to be a wild animal.
Yeah, definitely. Like he looks like a cover girl, not a cover girl. Shoot,
Bigfoot cover
What do you
girl.
call it?
Maybe it's
Maybe it's Maybelline. Yeah, for sure.
It could. I mean, it very well could be, but like I don't know. I look at it. I guess I've never seen like a gorilla walk on all twos, but it just the way it's walking doesn't look like it's Bigfoot. I think it's someone coming back from a party.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my number 2 kind of ties in with Ray's. I just think aliens, like out of all the conspiracies, that's one where I could believe in it. Kind of like how Alex, like I could believe in Bigfoot. I could believe in aliens. As it stands, I'm pretty agnostic about it. I'm like, there could be aliens, there couldn't be aliens. We don't really know. But there's just so many, from a Christian perspective, I don't think a Christian worldview excludes aliens. Like we believe that God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And he's a very creative and like makes stuff, and he's always making stuff, and the universe is like expanding, and that's, in my opinion, that's like showing that like God's still doing stuff. And I don't think through all the time and space God would limit his creativity to one group of people. Now, if that's the case, that's okay. But like I don't see why they couldn't be like other humans on different planets that like they have their alien version of Jesus and all that. So I just think from a biblical sense, like it is possible. Like I said, I'm not gonna stake my reputation on it or anything. But then like there's so many weird sightings of aliens that people like from all over, not I was gonna say history, but like people from different parts of the country seeing very similar things. And like there's I think there's some what people chalked up to group hallucinations, which I don't know if that's really a thing, like scientifically.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah, mass hysteria, and people are seeing stuff. And I just find the whole thing interesting. Like there's the 3 types of aliens. There's Nordic aliens, which I think is hilarious. There's like tall, blonde men walking around just buff. There's your classic gray men aliens, and there's the lizard people aliens. And I find the whole thing very interesting.
Lizard people are native to Earth.
Oh, do they travel?
Doesn't matter. No. They
And they're all.
we'll get into the lizard people.
Oh,
on my
sorry.
third.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
So
offended one of them.
Ooh.
He's like, no, we've been here. We've been here.
yeah. So there's there's a third type of alien. I guess I thought it was lizards, but I guess I was mistaken.
Okay, well maybe there is lizard people also. I don't want to. I mean, I also believe in aliens to a degree, or agnostic, I guess. The science is telling us now that the universe is infinite, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, just statistically speaking, if the universe is infinite, then eventually you will get another planet that is like ours and will have some sort of life on it. But it just depends on how insanely far away it is,
Yeah. And also, they also
This
might
is-
not be
yeah.
humanoid. Like it could be, just an amoeba somewhere,
Exactly.
and that's technically an alien.
It could be an amoeba. You could have blobs, That'd be a pretty cool alien if that was just a blob.
Yeah,
Can we talk about the pyramids? I want to talk about the pyramids so
Yeah.
bad.
Easily? Yeah.
For
I
some
don't
reason,
think aliens built the pyramids.
Oh, you don't believe that aliens
I
built
do
the
not
pyramids?
believe it. I think we know how the pyramids were built, and the Egyptian government refuses to let people take the rock, take the stones from the pyramid and experiment on them to figure out how it was built, because they know it was made out of concrete, and they think that it's not as glamorous and it's going to ruin tourism. And so they decide to keep it hidden. But there's like reports on people who have gotten stones or the rock slabs from the pyramid and experimented on them back in 2004. And it came back conclusive that it was just concrete, cement. And then they just said, no, nobody gets any more rocks. We're not doing any more experiments. Because I guess they just think that's not cool. And you get more tourism if it's like, oh, how did these get made? The mystery of the pyramids.
So it's a government thing.
Well, it's an Egyptian government thing.
Wow, I never really thought about that.
Because all you had to do was just make molds of the rocks and just pour the cement in and then let it dry,
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, oh, how are they so close together? It's like, well, because they're, concrete. And there's a lot of evidence of just like they had all the materials to make concrete, and concrete's been around since the beginning of civilization. Like, the Colosseum's made out of concrete. So it's annoying. So many people say it's like something crazy.
I believe that the aliens built the pyramids, but that is fair. That it's just concrete poured.
So Lou, you sound like you're pro aliens, or at least leaning towards it. Alec, are you also an alien head?
Here's my thing. Okay, so I guess like there's a lot of factors that could be involved in stuff like that. But I guess from like a biblical perspective, I disagree with you, Rob, I'm on the opposite side, where I'm not saying that God isn't like creative, but I think more of the sense of like, if aliens existed outside in another planet somewhere, right, then wouldn't that mean that God would have had to go and die on their planet too to save their sins?
Yeah, if they
or was it like, yeah, well, I mean, but that's the thing, right? Like, I think everything has sin and everything. I don't think in Genesis, which is like the whole creation of the universe, there wasn't really anything mentioned about any other civilizations, planets being made.
Well, that's a need to know, and we don't need, apparently.
Yeah, I guess like when it comes to aliens and stuff like that, that's kind of my fundamental stuff. I'm not really too depth with aliens. I kind of just don't ignore. I'm not going to say that word. I was going to say something, but I think it would sound bad.
Xenophobic?
Well, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird things that happens that cannot be explained. They're like, the pyramids are one thing. Area 51, what the heck is there? You know what I'm saying? Like and even just like ghost stuff. Like, I know it's not aliens, but there's just a lot of stuff out there that you just really can't explain and stuff like that. And I'm okay with it. I can't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a bigger picture out there. Obviously, if an alien comes and tries to invade our Earth, then different story. But I just don't acknowledge that. I mean, they're kind of cool. I like them for fiction.
Here's what I'll say about like, if you want to take a kind of moral or like biblical look at how it would be possible, or like think about, can you imagine like good and evil on a scale? If I go out and like kill someone, that's pretty evil. But if I go out and give someone like $100, that's like good or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that in the history of the entire earth, there is someone who has been the goodest of good person? And who would you say that is?
Are you going for like, Jesus? Like the most good?
I was going
This is
for
the
Jesus.
answer? Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But
my grandma is pretty cool. I don't know if
yeah.
Exactly.
Number 2.
I haven't, but she seems cool.
The way I think about it is, if the universe is infinite, technically, that means if there is another planet, there has to be the ultimate good, right? Out of the entire universe, there has to exist an ultimate good. And I do believe that's God.
Yes.
But there also has to exist an ultimate evil. And I believe, that's the devil.
That's aliens. I thought you were going to say aliens.
That's the thing. Like, it's creepy, because if you think about it, it's like, what would like the most ultimate evil in the universe look like? It'd be kind of terrifying.
Well, I mean, like, have you seen like biblical depiction of like angels and stuff like that? Because they're truly terrifying.
That's true. And
Yeah.
like, that's another thing.
Isaiah. Good to have questions,
I sometimes wonder, it's like, can we truly be that sure that, angels weren't just aliens, that were like really, really good spiritual aliens, angel means messenger. So all we know is that they were messengers, which you could say that an alien that came down, they have these crazy powers that we didn't understand back then, or still don't understand now. Like, I don't know. It's like possible.
Yeah, I think the one thing though is also like Hebrews 13:12 says like don't forget to show. Yeah, that's right. My favorite verse. Don't crap. It talks about like
Hold it in.
So like for like always show hospitality to strangers. For some people are entertaining angels without knowing it. That's what like Hebrews 13:2 says. I think the difference between angels and aliens is that obviously angels are actually mentioned in the Bible in the Hebrew language. Differs alien because the Bible does talk about like we are aliens amongst people, which this could be all complete bullcrap, but I'm just like saying what I believe. This is just a piece, I guess you could say. But like there's Hebrew language that differs between, just like how there's different loves, there's different words. So I think angels are used in a different context.
Like I said,
that's my take.
I'm agnostic about aliens. I could believe either way. I'm just trying, like, from a Christian perspective. I like to think of like, could a Christian worldview, if aliens showed up, like, would that shatter a Christian worldview, or it's like, is there ways like that it would be applicable? If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly.
Right.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it as well. I think that's something that I need to remember too. Would that disprove would I like disown the Bible if aliens like were just like, hey, like we're here?
All right, so it was hard to pick a number one, and so I picked my wife's number one because I'm a good husband. My wife's favorite conspiracy is the flat Earth theory. I'm surprised nobody else has this on their list. That's fun, good stuff.
Well, I thought my bird one would be pretty good at locked at number one, but that wasn't the case.
Sorry, buddy.
You're good.
I was close to the theory. I worked for the government, didn't even know it. I'm not gonna go too into it because it is a absolute rabbit hole. And I'm not going to try to crap on anybody that believes in this. Do your thing. But if you don't know flat Earth theory, they believe that the Earth exists on a flat disk. It's either circular or squared shape. What I do find funny, what I will talk about, is that there are famous people who believe in the flat Earth theory. I don't know if they still believe. But B.O.B., the rapper B.O.B., Bobby Ray Simmons Jr., you might know him as Airplanes, or the song that he did with that short Hawaiian guy, Nothing on You, with Bruno Mars. Okay. He did a GoFundMe page that he aimed to raise over $200,000 to put a satellite in space to tell if the planet was a disk.
Oh no.
I don't know.
It was the aliens. It was the alien space satellite.
He got a picture of it and he looked at the photograph and he's like, "Look, it's flat."
Another two people, Tila Tequila, pretty famous back in the day because she had her own show. And then the probably the best handles in the game, Kyrie Irving.
Classic
Stuff. There's so much information if you want to get into it. Totally go for it. I recommend this documentary called Behind the Curve. I have caught my wife watching this multiple times. So some of it's pretty funny. They've done tests to see if the Earth is flat, and all the tests come up negative that the Earth is round. And it is a joy to watch these people pour in so much money.
They always do the experiments, and then it passes the experiment, and they just look around like, "Oh, I don't know what to do now."
It just, I don't know. It brings me joy to see people have faith in something, it's they're not hurting nobody.
I thought you were gonna say it brings me joy to see people have faith in something and then it get dashed when they discover it's not real.
No. I mean, it does.
Okay.
That is funny. I'm not gonna lie and say that it isn't funny, but I will say also that people should have faith in something. And if you want to believe the Earth is flat, don't teach my kid that, but go for it. One of my new favorite things that I was doing the research is that some believe that the Earth is small and right above the Earth, which makes sense because the Earth is flat. But some also believe, which I don't know if it was just one kooky guy, but the Earth is cold and each person has their own individual sun.
What?
So the sun that I look,
That's my sun.
That's yeah. So the sun that you look at and the sun that they look at is completely different sun.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
So that whole romantic thing where they're like, "Are you looking at the moon?" I am, like, but we're on different parts of the world. That's just a bunch of crap because we all have our own individual moons too.
Do we have our own individual moons? Or
That's a good. Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like, Alec, if that's gonna like ruin your relationship, I don't think so. No.
No, it's not. No, okay. I live in the same house as my wife.
That's my whole marriage was based on that.
Well, you live in your house. She lives in her house. You have
That's right.
houses.
But I mean, biblically accurate that you guys are one flesh now. So maybe you guys can share your own sun and moon.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a pastor, but I think I'm on the right track.
I'm not a pastor, but I'll deem it so. That's what they say. They become one flesh, one moon, one sun.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the bottom is completely ice, and I've read that airplanes, you're not actually going anywhere. You get in an airplane and they move the airplane left and right a little bit.
I could believe that though. Okay, I actually think about that quite a bit.
You got windows in your airplanes? Do they shut you in like a no window airplane?
It's just a screen, man. It's just a really realistic screen.
You're like a random person and you're in the flight with Alec and his eyes are just always wide. You're just like, oh, what is wrong with this guy?
No, he's sitting in the corner scoffing and shaking his head. He's like, they think they're tricking me.
Yeah, others believe that.
I dropped an air tag on this plane. I'll be able to tell.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we're in another state now. Sure.
But no, I think about that in my cars sometimes too. I'm like, ultimate conspiracy. Cars could just be all stationary. I don't know. I think about that. I don't obviously believe
You'll
it.
Go into it in your conspiracy.
No, I actually won't. But I do like that, actually. I do think about that from time to time. I was just on a plane too, so I was really thinking about that.
What about people who like jump out of the plane? What's going on there, Alec?
They land right where above there.
Really good special
effects. They get out onto the green screen that's sitting outside the plane.
That's right. It's like it's like how you practice it. It's just like that, but bigger. Like, do you know, like the giant air funnels that you go into? Mm-hmm. It's like
Willy
that.
Wonka?
Yeah, except it's all green.
Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like we talked about with the birds. Like, government technology is crazy, man. Like, it's way better than ours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't fathom it.
I mean, yeah, I'm not allowed to.
I can't talk about what we have, so.
You work for the government
employee?
Yeah.
I can't talk about it.
Interesting.
MrFixit.gov. Am I right?
Shh, don't give people my email.
I'm so sorry. I know.
I gotta go. I need to move my family. Sorry. See you guys.
Call ended.
He just get off the call.
Yeah.
Been compromised.
That's so funny. Sorry, I'm so sorry for ousting you.
I've been DOSed.
You got DOSed, bro.
I know.
It's funny you bring up the plane thing. So I was looking at different conspiracies for this topic. There is a conspiracy that Australia doesn't exist, and that pilots just fly you to a random city and say it's Australia.
Everyone put on an accent. It's already going to be Australia.
We took you to Arizona instead. We need everybody to be in accent mode right now. I love the idea of an ice wall. It's very Pirates of the Caribbean 3, Dead Man's Chest.
Yes, for sure.
Where you just keep going out into the sea until you get to these like salt flats, like muddy area, and then there's just a giant ice wall blocking you. Well,
yeah.
Anyways,
it's like the Source Wall in DC. Do you guys know about that?
I do not.
Sorry, DC Comics.
I was like, Washington D.C. Source Wall. What is this?
That's one that Ray's like, I know every theory. I've never heard of this. No, it's just like the boundary of the universe in the DC universe. It's like interconnected with it's like a giant wall of like every superhero's like face. It's pretty cool actually, because there's a moment where like Superman fights Doomsday and throws him into the Source Wall and back.
Ray, what's your number one?
My number one. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna tell you guys about something called Hollow Earth.
Ooh.
So has anybody heard of Hollow Earth?
Yes.
I have not.
Basically, let's just say that us on the surface here, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Once you go to the North Pole and the South Pole, there are little, like, I don't know if they're doorways or just caves, and it takes you into Hollow Earth, which the entire inside of the earth is actually hollow, and there's complete civilizations in there. There is oceans. There's people living in there, but they live upside down because the gravity reverses. The gravity reverses once you get far enough in. The gravity reverses, and you're walking on the shell of the earth, instead of. And their sun is the core of the earth, giving them heat.
What? Well, I thought the sun was individual, though.
Yeah.
No, that's flat Earth. That's flat
Earth. Two different.
Hollow Earth is real. Flat Earth is fake. So this is where the lizard people come from. They say that they sometimes crawl out from Hollow Earth to mess with us in the real world.
How do they survive the North and South Pole? They're cold-blooded, right?
Not these ones.
Or is that thinking too much about it?
I think you're thinking too much about it, you know.
Isn't that what these are about? Thinking
Well,
too
they
much
don't
about-
crawl out through the North and South Pole. They crawl out through the cave
This-
systems
this-
all over the world.
That's right.
They can fit into those tiny little cracks, and they slip out sometimes to come get us.
Are they the same ones that like are politicians? Like, is that the same world?
Wasn't Obama a
Yes.
lizard?
So
person?
they,
Okay, sorry, didn't mean to cut
yeah,
you. Go
they've.
for it.
No, you're correct. You were correct to bring that up. The
Thank you, bastard.
So good.
they crawl out of their caves, and they've slowly been replacing us. You know, like Avril Lavigne. They've replaced
Paul McCartney.
our presidents, our leaders, Paul McCartney. So many, they're just all over the place. And I would keep your eye out, because just like the woman on the plane, that dude is not real. You know, that's Hollow Earth. There's more to it, but I didn't do enough research on it.
There's I'm looking at a theory right now, and there's like a Bible for it.
Yeah, it's like a popular theory, especially back in like the 1700s.
Wow.
Before they understood how gravity worked.
The
The closer you get to the core of the Earth, the stronger gravity is going to get.
You mean before our minds were controlled by the government?
You're right.
Yeah. Darn birds.
Before the media was controlled in the 1700s. Printing press ruined everything, in my opinion.
Wow, this is interesting. So is it like that TV show like La Brea? You know what I'm talking about? What is that?
Sorry, I'm sorry, I hit my mic.
Like someone
I
just
thought
did a
the
bass
regular
drop.
show was starting.
I thought you were getting abducted.
Sorry
The
about
lizard
that.
people are after him.
I revealed too much. I could be replaced right now. We have no idea.
Yeah.
It looks pretty similar. Yeah, just like an underground city.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's like everything got preserved.
I will say there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in caves. I don't have explanations for all of it. A lot of weird. I mean, have you guys heard about the Grand Canyon having ancient Egyptian ruins in the Grand Canyon?
No, I haven't.
I have not.
That's if you try and get any kind of expedition request from the United States government to try and like explore the Grand Canyon, they say no. You're not allowed to do any like archaeology there.
Can't you just like take a boat down the Grand Canyon though, like down the river?
Hey, that's how the guy found it back in the 1900s, early 1900s. But I don't know.
Everything happened in the 1900s.
There's a lot more people watching now. They got birds in the Grand Canyons now. So,
Alec, what's your number one?
Okay, so the number one for me is one that I find the most interesting. I might not find it the best, like the most believable, but it scratches that itch of like super fun to talk about, a lot of possibilities, but also like semi kind of believable. And that's the we all live in a computer simulation. I
Nice.
love this theory. Like, because it explains so much. There's a lot of things that explains, like the Mandela effect, why we haven't found aliens, because we don't have enough RAM to support the simulation to only one planetary civilization. Like how deja vu is you remembering something from your actual life rather than the simulation that we're in. Yeah, it's just like stuff like that. It's just like really interesting. I find it really, really fun. Or like even just things like the Oscars envelope mix up and stuff like that. Like with Moonlight winning over whatever you call it.
La La
Just like-
Land, was it?
Yeah, La La Land. No, I like to think of that. I think it's really funny.
It would explain the planes and stuff, like you were saying.
Yeah, is it the same idea of like the Matrix? Like that whole jazz?
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I've never been like a radical on Facebook, but the only time Facebook's ever taken down one of my posts is when there was a cartoon of a guy that was like, I'm gonna eat this hydration packet. You know those packets that you get to keep things
The silicone
the
packet.
silicone thing? And then
Yeah.
if I eat this, it'll get me out of the simulation. And then he ate it, and then he woke up in like a cylinder thing. And the guy, and he met a guy. He was like, "Congratulations, you won the game." Facebook took that down, which is understandable.
That is
I get
understandable.
that. There's a lot of dumb people though. I get
That's
that.
that's the same thing as people saying like, "Get in the bathtub with the toaster," and I'm getting out of the simulation. That was a common thing people talked about.
Yeah. We at the Top Podcast do not recommend
Don't do that.
Nope.
eating
Please.
anything that you shouldn't eat. And then watch out for red dye too. You know, be careful.
Red dye will make you aggressive. You'll hurt your family. Don't eat red dye food.
I could see that being like an internet skit where they're playing it off like it's an AA meeting, but it's like a red dye meeting. Red dye anonymous.
Somebody eats the cinnamon apple gum.
Oh,
starts punching.
The Big
people.
Red? Is that what it's called?
Big Red.
Big
Oh,
Red,
no.
dude. That was our
Start chewing
favorite
on
gum.
some Big
I
Red.
hate Big Red gum.
Big Red, you don't even get any food from it. You just get the red dye. I could be slandering them. They might not even have it in their gum.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Who can you really believe these days? Which fruit of the loom do you guys remember?
It's the one without the cornucopia.
I remember.
Yeah.
But is that the one you remember?
Yeah.
Or is that the one that they make you
program
believe
me.
in this? Yeah. Is it programmed?
Break your programming, Rob.
Break your
There's-
program.
There's some of those. Some of those are like you look at it and they're like, did Pikachu have black on his tail, like on the end of his tail, or not? And I'm just like, who actually thinks that there was that? But then there's some like this. I'm like, oh crap! I
swear, I
shoot you.
remember. Sorry, I hit my mic again.
Jeez, Red got up an arm.
Big Red's coming for him.
I'm getting aggressive.
That's right. Take out
My
the red dye.
ADHD is acting up, and I'm getting aggressive.
I remember Pikachu. I don't know if other people thought Pikachu had a black tail, but for the longest time as a kid, I would draw him with like the black tail too. I was
you
part of
did?
that. Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know why I did, but yeah, I would. Whenever I draw Pikachu tail, I'd add that little black spot at the end.
Yeah.
Dude, it's weird. I don't know anything about Mandela because I wasn't even old enough, but the cornucopia gets me every time. It makes me mad because the cornucopia belongs there.
Yeah, I agree.
Me too.
Alec and Ray, where can the people find you? Do you guys have anything you want to promote? Any shout outs you want to do?
Greensboro DNR on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok so far. We'll see about other places, but yeah, that's our project. That's what we're working on. Conspiracy. If you like conspiracy theories, that's a good project.
Yeah, if you like analog horror comedy, there are different, different take on the analog horror genre. More of a mix between that and the corporate satire of our world.
It's kind of a mix between that and like The Office, Parks and Rec.
Parks and yeah, I mean, we draw inspiration from a lot of analog horror. We like the deep lore kind of stuff, so it's definitely a show that hopefully you'll have to watch it multiple times and piece together what we're trying.
If you were to choose one, go to the YouTube, not the other ones, because YouTube will have the full videos on there.
We value our YouTube viewers more than anybody else.
Can't say that.
Keep it old school.
Feel free to look in our show notes or the description of the YouTube video. You can find a link to their YouTube there and other social accounts. But thank you guys for listening to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know any icebreaker questions that you guys have or topics that we should talk about. If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us a 5-star review and leave a comment, and we'll read it off on the podcast. Till next time, hope you guys have a great day. Peace out, toppers.
Later, potatoes. I just wanted to add that out
After a
there.
while, crocodile.